This isn't a topic I would usually discuss on the channel, but the Nintendo versus Pocket Pair lawsuit just got worse over the weekend, and I feel it's going to begin affecting the gaming community as a whole, and I really just want to give my thoughts on it and honestly kind of just yap about it a little bit. By the way, just to clarify, my thoughts are fuck Nintendo, but let's get into it. So as I'm sure you all know, Nintendo are currently in a lawsuit over a few different patents against Pocket Pair, the wonderful guys who are making Palworld. However, with this lawsuit, Nintendo is also trying to tear down the modding community across gaming as a whole, and obviously if you subscribe to me, you know that the vast majority of what we discuss here are Bethesda games, and mods are arguably the thing most associated with Bethesda games, or it at the very least one of the top 5 things, right? I think we can all agree on that. So this comes from IGN. Nintendo says mods don't count as prior art, as they are not full games, attempting to sway judge in Palworld lawsuit. Look, what's basically going on is Palworld / Pocket Pair are trying to use mods that fans have created for Palworld, and of course other games, as a reason to show that Nintendo's patents against them are bullshit, which of course they are, because they are not, quote, uniquely their own, basically meaning Palworld isn't the only game out there that has the same mechanics and themes as Pokemon and other Nintendo games. So basically Palworld's side of the court are trying to argue that Nintendo are sort of picking on them and sort of singling them out and saying you can't sue us because, and not just us, because lots of other games have the same mechanics that Nintendo are filing a lawsuit against Palworld for. So in defense, Nintendo are saying, well, mods don't count because they aren't art and because they require a base game to function. And of course, as I'm sure you all know this makes absolutely zero sense, and I will tell you why just in case. This would mean that any DLC or expansions for any games also don't count, because they also require a base game to run. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but IGN are actually correct, because here they say, this has raised eyebrows across the industry and among Pokemon fans alike, with many suggesting it could have far-reaching consequences if accepted by a judge. And yeah, that's pretty much true. Nintendo just want to take away and strip down the modding community. And I mean, look, Nintendo have happily gone after innocent modders before, so sure, why not make their work feel a little bit more worthless while you're at it, just to try and destroy and take Palworld down a step. Nintendo, you are scumbags. Nintendo stating that mods aren't considered or are not viable as prior art is just disgusting to me. It has such a disregard for the amazing work that goes into modding. Some mod developers sit there and spend their own time and money, like years of their own lives, making a mod, like a little mod just for us to have fun with. And they do it for free of charge, and Nintendo just want to drag these people through fucking mud because they think it helps their however much law case against Palworld and Pocket Pair. Modding has done nothing but move the games industry forward. Some of the most popular mechanics, game modes, and even games as a whole started off as mods. PUBG invented Battle Royale, which is now one of the most popular modes in any online PvP-based shooter game. Think about how huge Fortnite Battle Royale is, or how huge Warzone is in Call of Duty, which is the COD Battle Royale mode. Well, guess what? PUBG, the game that invented that game mode and made it known and made it huge to begin with, started as a mod for another game before it eventually became its own game, of course now known as PUBG. Just to talk about mods like this and just sort of toss them aside like they're nothing is just disgraceful, dude. And it goes to show that Nintendo have their giant wooden skull-filled heads so far up their own asses that they don't even know the significance that modding has had on the gaming industry. So basically, TLDR, Nintendo believes that mods do not create good enough reason because mods are not games to them, and as we all know, mods are just as much of a game as anything else is. So now here's the issue. If Nintendo were to win this lawsuit, God forbid, while claiming that mods are not games, it could kill modding. If Nintendo wins this, it could mean significant consequences for the entire modding community and mod authors. And like I mentioned earlier, right, 99% of the time mod authors do what they do for free with their own time and sometimes even their own money to deliver us new content for a game or sometimes even fix things for a broken game that has been abandoned or is just taken too long to fix their own bugs. If Nintendo wins this lawsuit, that could open up to be subjective to what's called patent thieves, where basically it means that other people or entire scumbag companies, much like Nintendo, would be able to rip off mod ideas and put the mods into their games without crediting or giving any money to the mod authors. And I know most of my viewers and subscribers are Bethesda fans, so let me just try and put this in a way that everyone can understand simply, because I know that this may be a little bit confusing, especially for my younger audience, or maybe even just people who didn't study law like I did. So let's say a mod that everyone knows, Skyrim's Inigo. You all know Inigo if you played Skyrim. It's an amazing mod, and I'm sure that we have all at least heard of it if you have ever played Skyrim. Well, if Nintendo wins this lawsuit, Bethesda could potentially just completely rip off Inigo and get that character, that mod, who was made by a mod author, not by Bethesda. They could just basically rip him out of the mod and put him in Elder Scrolls 6 as an actual character, and the actual creator of Inigo could get nothing. He could do nothing about it. Not that Bethesda would ever do that. Bethesda, thankfully, have way too much respect for the modding community, unlike Nintendo. It's just an example. So hopefully now you all see my point and see why this is such a bad thing. What this means is a lot of mod authors could be less inclined or less willing to put out any mods, especially for free, if the mod becomes a huge success and people say that they can't play the game without it. The company who owned the game could essentially just completely rip off the mod and put it in the game, thus leaving the mod useless and leaving the mod author with zero credit and zero connection with a game's feature that they pretty much created. Hopefully you see my point now and understand why, even though I don't usually discuss things like this on my channel, I had to make a video on this topic. And look, if you don't think that companies like Nintendo or EA or Ubisoft or any of the other scumbag gaming companies out there would be willing to just completely rip off a mod idea, patent it, and not give any credit to the mod author without their consent, then I really don't know what to tell you, because they 100,000% would. Nintendo especially, because they clearly have no idea how to make a good game, especially a good Pokemon game, which is why they're so pissed off and salty that Palworld did it better and continues to do it better. Look, basically what I'm trying to get at is Nintendo stood up in court the other day and gladly, publicly admitted that they are willing to set the entire modding community throughout all of gaming on fire and let it burn down to the ashes just to try and take Palworld down. Because Nintendo are ran by man-child little crybabies that cry when they don't get their own way, aka Nintendo is run by a bag of cunts. Nintendo are just absolute supervillains at this point. They really are. I don't know what else to say. It's disgusting. Mark my words, the Switch 2 selling well was gaming's 9/11. I don't want to sugarcoat this. Nintendo are fucking evil. They are destroying the gaming industry. On top of all of this, they are charging $80 for their shit games and then announcing $30 DLCs on top of the $80 base game before the game has even released. That means they purposely cut a main feature from that base game to purposely charge it to the Nintendo monkeys that will throw their entire paychecks at Nintendo because they're so blinded by nostalgia and have zero self-respect. I'm not trying to be rude, but that is all it is. I get it, you love Pokemon, you love Mario and whatever the fuck else, but you simply just do not respect yourself if you allow these scumbags to charge you $80 for a game, any game. I'm a massive Fallout fan, you all know this. If you subscribe to me and watch my content, you know this. I live and breathe Fallout. If I died tomorrow, my biggest regret would be not living long enough to play Fallout 5. But if Bethesda and Microsoft charge $80 for it, oh man, I would shoot myself in the fucking foot before I would hand over my money, because I'm not a thick melt blinded by my love for a franchise, not realizing that these companies are ripping me off. So, fuck Nintendo. They will never see another penny from me, dude. I already had zero interest in the Switch and any of their future games, and all this does is make me want to never touch another one of their games ever again. So if you need me, I'll be putting in another 100 hours into Palworld. Let me know what you guys think about all of this below. Drop the video with a like and consider subscribing if you do want to see more content like this. If you would like to have further discussions on this topic amongst plenty of others, please feel free to join us over in the Discord. As usual, a huge, massive thank you to all of our channel members for their continued monthly support. It means the world, guys. But with all of that said and done, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.